You don't want more because you're greedy. You want more because something inside you is quietly starving. And yet, the moment the desire forms before you even say it out loud, guilt floods in. Not dramatic guilt, not obvious guilt, but a subtle, tightening sensation in your chest. A feeling like you've crossed an invisible line, like you've violated an unspoken rule. You tell yourself, I should be grateful. You remind yourself, others have it worse. You minimize the longing before it can fully breathe, and from the outside, you look fine, responsible, mature, grounded, even admirable. You're not reckless, you're not impulsive, you don't demand, you don't complain, but inside, there's a quiet conflict that never fully rests, because every time you imagine more rest, more love, more recognition, more money, more space, more freedom, you feel like you're betraying something or someone. This is the paradox that defines your inner life. The mindset that once kept you safe is now the very thing keeping you small. The self-restraint that once earned you love now blocks your expansion. The gratitude that once protected you now suffocates your desire. The humility that once made you good now makes you invisible to yourself. And the strangest part, you don't feel angry about it. You feel ashamed for wanting more at all. To understand why wanting more triggers guilt instead of motivation, we have to name the archetype you were shaped into. This is the self-sacrificer, not by choice, but by conditioning. The self-sacrificer is someone who learned early that safety came from not taking too much, from not being a burden, from not rocking the emotional or financial or relational boat. This often develops in environments marked by scarcity, emotional, financial, or relational parentification, where a child learns to regulate others before themselves. Conditional belonging, love that felt earned, not given moralized suffering, where endurance was praised more than joy psychologically. This wires a deep association. Wanting equals risk of rejection, risk of being judged as selfish, risk of destabilizing fragile systems. Your nervous system didn't learn desire as a compass. It learned desire as a threat signal. This is where hypervigilance enters. Hypervigilance isn't just scanning for danger, it's scanning for moral violations. Your brain constantly asks, am I taking too much? Am I asking for more than I deserve? Will this cost me connection? Neurologically, the default mode network, the system responsible for self-referential thought, becomes saturated with comparison, justification, and self-monitoring. You don't just want something. You immediately evaluate whether you're allowed to want it. And over time, guilt becomes the automatic emotional response to growth. Not because growth is wrong, but because it feels unfamiliar. The deepest cost of this pattern isn't material, it's existential. You begin to live as if your role in the world is to contain yourself. You shrink your dreams to match what feels socially acceptable. You soften your needs so no one feels uncomfortable. You turn longing into silence. Carl Jung once said, the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents. But there's another burden, quieter and heavier. The unlived life you deny yourself in order to belong. This is the invisible grief of the self-sacrificer, not grief over what you lost, but over what you never let yourself want. You fear that if you choose yourself, something sacred will break, that your goodness is tied to restraint, that your worth is proven through endurance. So rest feels irresponsible, joy feels excessive, ambition feels immoral. You don't just fear failure, you fear outgrowing the version of you that others learned to rely on. And so, even pleasure becomes complicated. Even success is met with unease. Even happiness feels like something you must justify. This doesn't stay abstract. It shows up everywhere. You might stay in jobs that underpay you because wanting more feels ungrateful, feel guilty, resting even when exhausted, downplay your achievements so others don't feel small, struggle to ask for help. then feel resentful when none arrives, overgive in relationships, hoping your self-erasure earns love, feel anxious after spending money on yourself even responsibly, second-guess opportunities that would expand your life, feel selfish for setting boundaries that protect your energy. These aren't personality flaws, they are coping strategies. Strategies that once kept you connected, strategies that once kept you safe, strategies that now keep you stagnant. Healing doesn't start by forcing confidence or ambition. It starts with witnessing, not fixing, not shaming, not gaslighting yourself with gratitude. Witnessing the moment guilt arises and asking, what am I afraid will happen if I allow myself to want this? Because buried under the guilt is almost always a younger self who learned that wanting came with consequences. Healing this pattern is not about becoming ruthless or entitled. It's about becoming whole. This is where inner child reparenting begins, not as a trend, but as a practice of permission. You learn to tell yourself, you don't have to earn rest. You don't have to justify joy. You don't have to minimize desire to be loved. Through shadow work, you integrate the parts of you that were labeled too much, selfish, or ungrateful. You realize those traits were never dangerous, only inconvenient to systems that benefited from your silence. And slowly, something shifts. Wanting no longer feels like betrayal. Growth no longer feels like abandonment. More no longer feels immoral. As philosopher Baruch Spinoza wrote, desire is the very essence of man. To deny your desire is not virtue, it is self-erasure. You were never meant to survive forever. You were meant to expand. So if wanting more makes you feel guilty, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you learned to survive in a world that asked you to stay small, and now you're learning something braver, that you can want more and still be good. If this resonated, share it with someone who learned to carry too much quietly. Subscribe if you're ready to unlearn survival and choose wholeness instead.